What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Blerdkast Live. And on this week, we are going to have some fun because we're doing the inverse of the Nerdy Spaces series, and we're doing something called the In Blerdy Spaces series. And tonight, I have a wonderful panel of guests. But before we introduce them, before we introduce my co-hosts, please go ahead and do the YouTuber stuff. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe on this video. And if you haven't, become a member of the Blerd Nation. We will gratefully accept your application. But first, let's have a moment of joy with Miss Joy Stevens. How are you doing today?
I am doing very well. Thank you much, Mr. Marc. I am Joy Stevens, your hostess with the mostest, and I'm here and excited to have a really good conversation tonight as we talk about, how should I put this? Non-Black people in blerdy spaces. All right. And so what I want to do first is just go around the horn and give everybody a chance to introduce themselves. Well, I didn't really introduce myself. I'm Joy Stevens. I'm the co-host of this show, in addition to a bunch of stuff on Moana Nui podcast. I split my time everywhere. Whenever they let me talk, I talk. And so that being me, we're going to start in the top corner of my screen with Ryan V. Please introduce yourself to the people.
Hello, I'm Ryan, or mostly Ryan Vaughn. I am a content creator on YouTube. I do convention vlogs as well as some other extra videos I do involving the kind of activities I tend to find at those conventions. I also cosplay. I guess, yeah, that's what I have to introduce myself. I've been going to cons since 2021, I believe, so I'm a little bit new to the journey, but I'm really excited to be going through it right now.
Cool. We'll skip over Marc and go to Bobby.
Hi, I'm Bobby Nash. I'm an author. I am also an artist and occasional actor, but mostly author. I've been doing, Ryan made me feel really old. My first convention was in 1989. Which was the year I graduated from high school. So I've been going to cons quite a while. I started out doing them as a fan. Then I started doing press. I was interviewing people, writing. We didn't have blogs back then. We had fanzines, but I would write stuff like that. And then eventually blogs as we got into the internet age. But these days it's mostly just me there with my books and stuff, usually selling and talking up and doing panels and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Welcome. We'll go around to Chris.
My name is Chris. I've got a YouTube channel called GeekDunnryte where I talk about all things geek and anything else I feel like. And I've also been a videographer for Ranger Stop and Pop for about 5 years. Really enjoyed that, and that's where I actually got to meet Marc. So spoiler alert. And then also been doing press for MomoCon for the past few years, and just enjoy nerdy geeky content.
Okay. And last but definitely not least, we move on to Julie.
Hey guys, I'm Julie Byrd, and I have been going to cons almost not quite as long as Bobby, I think, said 89. I got to be, not so much be, but I'm since about 1997. I used to go to Dragon Con when it was 4th of July weekend, so It's been a long time. And I do media relations for MomoCon. I usually run the press room, so I get to help all the press when they come in, find their interviews, find what they need to be doing, feed them snacks, things like that. And I have 3 nerdy sons, so they are 25, 22, and 12. So I feel like I'll still be doing this for quite some time.
Absolutely. So I want to ask, actually, I'm going to continue to ask y'all indelicate and tongue-in-cheek questions, but I want to just ask for the record, do you 4 identify as white?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And for the people watching on the small screen who may be wondering, Marc and I are actually not white, because I know, like, just looking at the skin tones on here, you might be like, but aren't you? No, actually, that's why I keep fun fact, I have lost myself in corporate film pictures before. You take the team picture and it's like 50 people out there. I don't know where I'm at. So I actually, at one point in time, I started making sure I always stood in the back left so that when the picture came out, I would know where I was. So anyway, cute short story. But I do have a question for the four of you, because we're talking about, being in nerdy spaces, being in blerdy spaces. Why are you in Black people's business?
I'll be honest, ma'am, I grew up in Atlanta. It's hard not to be in Black people's business if you are from Atlanta. So, I mean, honestly, I went to Montessori school off of Candler Road. I mean, I've been in Black people business since I was about, I guess, 3 or 4 years old.
Right. It's like you didn't jump in it. It grew up around you. Like
exactly.
And we're kind of like unicorns in the Atlanta area. There's not a lot of us that were born here that are still here.
Exactly. We are very unusual.
There is a lot because, Atlanta has, and Georgia in general has a lot of people that have migrated here for whatever reason. But yeah, I was also born in Atlanta, lived in, as I got older, we steadily moved a little further out of the city. But I grew up in the Chamblee, Brookhaven, then to Dorville, then now I'm out in the Winder area. So I've moved out
away from the traffic.
So, yeah. It's I was a teenager when we moved to Winder, and it was massive culture shock. I'd never seen a cow before. Yeah, it was big culture shock.
Cool. So, the two of you grew up in Atlanta. Atlanta's been. I grew up in Houston, Texas, and I came here for college. So I went to Spelman. But everything that I know about Atlanta says it's been like Black ass city for a long time. So, like I said, y'all were immersed in it because it was the culture inside 285 was. Black people. But for
they used to make fun of me because I actually grew up in Snellville outside of 285. And everybody made fun of me for living outside the perimeter when I was in junior high and high school.
Yeah, back in that time frame, outside the perimeter was like far. Now, you got to get to like Dallas, Georgia to be far.
Because that was the country.
Yes,
we hadn't quite expanded. The city hadn't expanded out. If you got outside the perimeter, that was farmland. It was really, when I was a kid, if you traveled outside the perimeter, that was a big trip.
You're right. Even when I was in college in 94, 95, like going to Cumming was like, why are you going out there?
Yeah,
what's out
it was
there? Now
middle
it's
of
just
nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about Ryan and Chris? How did y'all end up in this space?
Do you want to go first, Chris, or do you want me to go first? I'm fine either way. I guess I'll go first. For me, I'm on kind of the same board as Julie. There's kind of really no way for me to like kind of avoid it. I'm in a lot of like fandoms and different communities where there's like a large group of different kinds of people and conventions that I always go to. And I recently started going to MomoCon in 2024, which I know has a lot of diverse group of people because it was the biggest convention I've been to so far, and my couple of recent years of going to conventions in general. And I think just I don't really see myself as belonging to like only one group. I like to try to mingle and be friendly with everybody else around me, all the groups, But
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I got a funny story about you from that specific MomoCon, if you don't mind me telling it.
You're good.
I met you because I was doing a documentary called Black and Nerdy that I'm still working on. But I was shooting at MomoCon, and I reached out on Facebook to try to get some people to interview who wanted to be in the documentary. I explained the documentary online, and a bunch of people popped up left and right from all walks of life. And one of those people was you. And how can I say this? The question I used to vet you and basically everybody else was, what do you think you can contribute to a documentary that's about Black nerds? And your answer was really thought-provoking at the time. You told me that at the time you was in high school, I think, and you were just trying to get out and explore different communities, different backgrounds, and get different point of views from other people. And that struck with me because there were other people, other white people who were just jumping in and was like, I don't care what the subject matter is about. I just want to talk about this or talk about that. But you was the only person who said, hey, I know this is a documentary about X, Y, and Z, but I do feel that I have something I can learn from this. Not something that you can tell us, but something that you could learn from the experience. So that's why I wanted to include you in that particular documentary. I created a whole section just for you. So
Really?
so
I love that.
So when it comes out, you have your interview. It's going to be perfect. It blends in naturally. And you're not vilified in any way. I know that was a concern you had, but you're not vilified in any way. Now, there's another young lady. We'll talk about that later in the show. But Chris, how are you in Black people's business?
Honestly, I grew up as an Air Force brat, and it was the space that I was always the most comfortable in. Growing up, I was bullied pretty hard, and it was generally by people that looked like me. And the place where I was loved and accepted the most were by people of color. And it was just a beautiful community that always loved and accepted me and helped me just feel like it was okay to just be me.
You know what? That's a one that is heartwarming for me. I'm glad to hear that. And also, I would like to know from everyone, have you felt welcome in these spaces? Like, do people go, "Ooh, why are you here?" Or they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like, what has been your specifically? Because I know we could talk about like family and friends and extended things like that, but specifically when you go to cons and you find yourself kind of hanging out with with crew, how has that been for you?
I haven't had any. Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, it's been very welcoming. One of the things I think too, we all have in common is like at a con or in things like this. The thing we have in common is the love of this thing we're part of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You love comics. I love comics, or you love the sci-fi. I love. That's kind of the first glue, and then we can all geek out over that. I think, and I've never not felt welcome in any groups at cons and things like that. It's always wonderful. People are just happy to, because like I said, I'm a little older, so I was a fan when there weren't other fans to talk to, where I didn't know anybody else that read comics, or I didn't know anybody else that liked Star Trek or things like that. So I didn't have a community. So when I found people that loved it, it's like I have found my people. We love the same stuff, and that's where you build from, I think. And that has been kind of what's got me into doing the conventions and keeps me coming back. I mean, it's also, the work stuff is cool too, but I do enjoy. I don't just go to work. I go to meet people and hang out with people, and I've met some wonderful people who have become like lifelong friends by doing this stuff, by having this thing that we love.
I love it. I love it. Julie, you had something to say?
Oh, well, I would agree. I always, and I know we were talking mostly about cons, but even when I was younger, I always felt more comfortable around the people of color when some of the other kids might have been picking on me, or it might have been, I didn't quite fit in because I'm a little nerdy and a little weird. And I always felt that people of color were a lot more open to that sort of thing. Now, maybe they were weird too, but who cares? They let me come in and join them. So I was happy.
Very cool. There's actually, it was an old TikTok channel, and I don't remember the young person's name, but they pretended to be, quote unquote, the Black girl in school that would protect all of the weird kids. And it'd be like, I don't play about Marcus. Don't come over here, mess with my friend, let him be himself, or we gonna fight. These hands are ready to eat for everybody. So I identify with that because I got bullied by my own people when I was in like the 7th grade. And after that experience, I always went out of my way, not in a like performative, look at me being the savior kind of way, but just in a, hey, what you're not about to do is mess with them. Not while I'm here. I moved into protector mode. By the time I was like halfway through high school, I was that girl. I was like, hey, say something else. Say something else about Marsha, But yeah, being willing to be open and accepting, especially to your point, like you said, Bobby, we all discovered that we liked certain things, and you found other people, you know, that were into cosplay, and so it's no longer about the color of your skin, it's about the kind of material you're using in your costume.
Yeah.
You know,
And a lot of times that's what the bullying was about. It wasn't about who you were, it was what you were into, what you liked.
Right.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Exactly.
I got a lot of bullying as a kid for reading comic books.
Yeah.
You know, or which is weird. Some of those same people that scoffed at it then, in later years when the movies became a big thing, are coming up to me going, "Oh my God, explain this to me." And I was like, "Man, I could have explained this to you back in high school if you'd have just,
Right?
Right?
yeah,
Perfect
You're just
irony.
now wanting this?
yeah. It's like, where were you 20 years ago? Come on, So
Good, very, very good point. A whole lot of people, a lot of things that were niche in the 80s and 90s are now more mainstream. On the one end, you've got, I say on the more wholesome end, you've got anime and comic books and cosplay, and then even things like different forms of like BDSM and like sexual relationships. A lot of things are more mainstream. Like I saw somebody wrote on Threads the other day that somebody tried to choke her. She goes, "This is back before it was common." It was me. I wrote that. But the conversation was about it was talking about something that you would never do again. And that was a thing. And a lot of people wrote under me, there are all these different safe ways to do it. And I was like, I'm not interested. I'm just saying this was unusual in the 90s, but a lot of things are Dungeons and Dragons, Stranger Things, I don't think would have been as popular if we hadn't seen this gradual general acceptance of Dungeons and Dragons, video games, Ghostbusters, all that kind of stuff.
It's kind of weird, like right now, Dungeons and Dragons is kind of getting this thing because you've got these well-known actors who are doing like videos of them playing Dungeons and Dragons. I used to joke with people. It's funny, when I was younger and I was into this stuff, I wasn't cool because I was into this stuff. Now this stuff's popular. I'm not cool enough to be in it. So yeah, but I think you mentioned it's gone mainstream, and I think that has helped a lot because people are now looking at this stuff that they used to laugh at and realizing, what, this is pretty cool.
And then I think about all the people whose parents like threw out their first edition Thundercats lunchbox. Like, Mom, you know what I could get for that nowadays? Your whole
you heard me with that one. Why Thundercats lunchbox?
I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I did not mean to trigger you. But,
I think all of our moms were in a club.
Right? Like my first edition Optimus Prime.
Oh, all my Power Rangers and Megazords, like, which is weird because my mom was the one who got me into that stuff and the one who threw it all out. And I was like, no, but it's going to be worth money eventually.
So two things about that. Y'all remember a TV show called Amazing Stories?
Yes, I loved it.
Great show.
There was one episode where this guy had been told, like, by a mystic or whatever, don't throw this stuff away. And he kept all of his like childhood toys his whole life. And eventually he ended up being like homeless, but he kept believing the voice. And I think he was like homeless, living in his car. And somebody came by the car and he had like all of this, at this point, vintage and antique toys and baseball cards and stuff. And it was worth like millions of dollars. And everybody's like, wow, this stuff, you hold on to it. It's collector's items now. And I often thought, like, because now people collect things. And I'm like, that was an episode of Amazing Stories. Like, everybody isn't going to get $1 million for this 1 out of 6,000 bobblehead. Like, there's 6,000 of them. So,
yeah.
But I will say, and y'all let me know if you agree with this from the parents' standpoint, especially during the era of like the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, there was this push to grow up.
Yes.
Yes.
And stop playing with toys. And so that tough love moment of, I'm going to throw all your toys out so you can grow up. Kind of
and I was a latchkey kid too. So
Yeah.
Same.
As a mom, I have thrown away no toys.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Just
Act
saying.
your age. Act your age. Used to hear that one a lot.
Yeah. Just thieves of joy, I believe. But I think they wanted to prepare us for adulthood, but we changed what adulthood meant. You know, one of Marc's favorite things to talk about it. Actually, I'm going to insert this as a question. One of Marc's favorite things to talk about is adult money. You know, and I'm listening to you talk about the cons y'all go to and being heavily involved in press, et cetera, et cetera. How do you budget for your activities? You know, and then is this your full-time thing, or what do you do? What's your day job? What do you do, you know, before you put the costume on?
I can go first.
Mm-hmm.
I just put a little bit of money away here and there, but I don't have a ton of money, but I'm really good at squirreling away little bits. My used to be day job for a long time. I was a bartender. I've been a teacher. Right now I'm a nanny and I write grants. Too bad there's no grants to send me to a con. But I just started training to be a doula, so that's my new thing. So that'll be my new day job, is I'm going to be a doula.
That's going to be awesome.
I'm so
That is
excited.
such an important thing, especially considering like maternal mortality rates and everything. That's going to be amazing.
Yes. Yeah. And it's really high, unfortunately, in people of color, specifically, obviously, Black women. It's kind of the highest rate of maternal death. So I want to be sure I'm keeping an eye out.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And on behalf of Black women everywhere, I thank you. So thinking about, you know, we mentioned earlier, like the diversity that is at this point inherent in a lot of nerdy spaces. Why is it important to have different representation in like movies, media, cons, cosplay, et cetera, et cetera? Why does it matter?
I think it's because it paints a bigger picture. Like you just can't get the whole picture without the different perspectives. Everybody grows up differently in different spaces and have different experiences. And without those stories and without that knowledge, without that representation, you just can't get the full story. And and at the same time too, receiving those stories helps connect us all.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean, we live in a world that's diverse. I mean, there's a lot of different types of people, of people who like different things, who have different backgrounds. You know, you can go as far as politics and religion and just where you grew up and everybody. So I mean, yeah, and our lives would be so boring too if we only got one kind of entertainment. You know,
Very true.
So being able to you know, see entertainment that's I might not be the main audience for doesn't mean I can't like it. And so you know,
That's true.
and so so I, you know, it's nice to be able to just it's a big smorgasbord of entertainment for us to choose from.
You know what? I want to take that and put that on a billboard. Just because I may not have been the main audience for it doesn't mean I can't like it. You know, because strictly speaking, like from growing up as a Black kid in the United States, you know, I'm watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm not seeing necessarily me. I watched every episode of Seinfeld for various reasons. I've seen so many movies and TV shows and everything that didn't necessarily have any Black characters in it. But just because I wasn't the target audience didn't mean I couldn't identify with it. I, to this day, identify with, oh my God, and then I forgot his name, the nerd in Breakfast Club.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anthony Michael Hall.
Anthony Michael. I knew he had three names.
Yeah.
Anthony Michael.
I met him once at Dragon Con.
Really? Was he cool?
Yes.
Okay.
He was
good.
really cool. He was really nice to it was when my sons were younger. They were like 8 and 5, and he was really nice. Took a picture with us and everything. Not like doing Walk of Fame, just in general. We ran into him, and he was really nice.
That is so good to hear. Because, you know, so many of our childhood stars and heroes later grow up and you discover, oh, you're a terrible person. So I love that you're a nice guy.
Oh, definitely.
But also, I think too, like what you said, you can identify. You're identifying with characters, like you said, you're identified with Buffy and all that, which is great. You know, just you know, you can like whatever works for you and you like, and it doesn't diminish anything else that you like. And
Exactly.
I think that's I mean, you know, because I hear, you know, I meet people a lot that's like, oh, I only like this. this. I'm only into fantasy, and that's cool for you. But I like some fantasy today. I may like a murder mystery tomorrow. There's a whole lot to choose from out there, and I can, my taste can change from day to day and things like that. So
I want to piggyback off of a couple of things that y'all have been saying. One, to answer the initial question, I like to think of the media we consume as like, which season of Star Trek am I watching? And I say that because I'll give you a scenario for those who watch Star Trek, which should be everybody here. There's a character called Q. He's in a couple of seasons, but he's in TNG where he interacts with Picard, and Picard likes to philosophize with Q and show him humanity's folly in X, Y, and Z. And then in Deep Space Nine, Q meets Cisco, Captain Cisco, Commander Cisco. Gets punched in the face because Cisco don't play that. I like seeing how different people react in different situations because it's like if you have the same character stereotype, that character is going to react the same way in the same situation, different situations, X, Y, and Z. But when you bring in diverse characters, people from different backgrounds and upbringings, it creates nuance. Like Cisco, like I knew nothing of Cisco, and when I Google him while I'm watching Voyager and things like that, that's one of the first scenes that's brought up is Picard did this, but Cisco punched him in the face, and I love Cisco for that.
Cisco was the most human Star Trek character, I thought.
Yes,
he's my favorite captain.
Mine as well. And you were talking about meeting Michael Anthony Hall. One of the coolest celebrity encounters I had was meeting Avery Brooks. He was like one of the coolest guys I had ever met in my life.
I knew him first as Hawk in Spencer for Hire.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how I know him too. Yeah. We might be dating ourselves. I'm sure there's like some.
I know, right?
People out here like Spencer for Hire. What is that?
My birthday.
No, I was there for those too. Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, it's like, but I met him. He was at Dragon. He had also at Dragon Con, and that was one of my best, top 5 celebrity encounters. He was just incredible.
So cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm not. Let me start my sentence over. I had 11 thoughts that got jumbled up in my mouth. But going back to the idea of consuming things that aren't necessarily in, I may not have been a target for XYZ, but I still like it and I still, identify, or some things resonated with me about it. So, last summer, 2 major movies that came out were K-pop Demon Hunters and Sinners. Neither of which had a Eurocentric lead role, and a lot of folks were like, this isn't for me. And I'm like, this is for everyone. They're like, yeah, but there's no white people. And I was like, there's a lot of white people in Sinners. You may not like what they're doing, but there's a lot of them in there, and then like K-pop Demon Hunters, I don't have to know. Matter of fact, I just reached 1,000 days on Duolingo today for doing Korean. Can I speak it? No. But can I understand it? Yes. But I don't have to be able to understand or be fluent in Korean to appreciate K-pop Demon Hunters or K-pop in general, or C-dramas, K-dramas, etc. I like a lot of different stuff, to your point. And honestly, if you like fantasy and murder mysteries and romance and violence, you can get all of that in like a 16 episode K-drama, and they're freaking out. Yeah. So if you want to branch out, try it. But my point is, a lot of the stuff that we consume, a good story is a good story.
Right, facts.
And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to have someone that, looks identical to you to enjoy a good story if you're open to it. And what I'm hearing from all of you is that you are open to a good story, a good time, interesting characters, etc. And I think more of us should be like that,
Yeah, I'm looking, when I'm consuming books or movies or TV, I want to be entertained first and foremost. That's what I'm looking for. And I never think, I got to find me a TV show with a guy my age.
Right.
That's never my first thought. It's like, that looks cool.
That looks cool.
Or that looks interesting. Let me try that. So yeah, it's.
Have you ever come across, and this is a question for anyone, have you come across people who are more closed-minded or straight up bigoted? And I say bigoted because you can be resistant to including different forms, and it's not always about race. But as you come across people who don't like something just because they don't like it, and like, okay, I don't like, what am I trying to pick something? I don't like hog head cheese because I just don't like it. I tried it a couple times and it's gross, but I'm not going to yuck your yum. If you like it, have it. Some people will say, I don't like hog head cheese, and then knock it out of your hand too. Like, you shouldn't eat that either. And so that's the big metaphor for imposing your opinions and your desires on other people. And sometimes we see folks do that in different fandoms, different groups, et cetera, where they want to tell you what you're supposed to like and you're not supposed to like, what you're supposed to do and not supposed to do. And so when you come across someone that may be exhibiting traces of bigotry, how do y'all handle that? Because I know as a Black woman, you know, I'm forever the crusader, tilting at windmills, et cetera. But how do y'all handle that? And have you come across that in any space? Because I know sometimes the cons can be very inclusive, sometimes it can't. You know, people, we have seen recently where people have bullied Black female cosplayers off the internet and off the planet, you know?
Before or after they're on the floor? You know.
After. Good answer.
That was a good answer, yes.
Yeah. I mean, when you're out in the world, you know, when we're away from other people that like the things we like, you hear comments and some, you know, let's face it, in the world we live in today, you know, I'll give you two words I'm so sick of hearing because they're said with such hatefulness by people that that are kind of closed-minded. The word woke and the DEI. You know, and that's their catch-all for anything. And it's a way for them to go, hey, this is something I hate. Now I've got a word for it that, you know. So there's a lot. Yes, the world is full of people like that. I mean, we see it all the time, especially these days where they're not afraid to, you know.
They've been emboldened to let everybody know how
Yes.
much they hate you. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's out there, you know. Certainly there have been people I know personally I've said things and you're kind of like, that's when you're like, dude, you know, you have a conversation of like, you know, you got to stop that. But yeah, it's, you know, like I said, it happens. Now I don't see it as much because I work from home, so I'm around me all day. So
I love me. Yeah.
So I'm not out as much in the world, but
Same.
But it happens. It's out there. But I mean, and it's all over the internet where people, like you said, are emboldened because there's nobody right in front of them to punch them in the face.
Right. And that's why we love Cisco. Yeah.
So
I encounter it a lot where I live, y'all. I didn't point out, but I do live in Covington.
Lord.
And still outside the perimeter, damn it. But anyways. And I do have a few female friends that I'm friends because our children were originally friends. And they make comments a lot to me about various things. Like for instance, I don't know how to show it. But anyways, I have a Black Panther tattoo. And I get comments about that all the time from them. And they're like, well, why didn't you get Captain America? And I'm like, because I don't like Captain America like I like Black Panther. That's why I have the tattoo.
Yeah.
Furthermore, you know, Chadwick Boseman died and I wanted to get the tattoo. So whatever. And it was the year there was no Dragon Con, so I had extra money. So
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense to me. Ryan, I'm sorry, we cut you off.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ryan.
Yeah, no worries, you're fine. And it was about what Bobby was saying earlier about like the two words that we often see in the internet so much that like people use to call certain media this kind of thing. A good example I have of another word that could tie into that is for video games, and that's the word called slop. Anything you can add into that word as a description, I've seen so common, like friend slop, battle royale slop, retro slop. Like it's just so common. Yes, it's used in a way to describe the genre of a game most people would casually call it nowadays, but to call it said game like friend slop in a way, it just seems so negative when it really all of the games I've seen with that same like categorization, they're not bad games at all. Like Peak, Repo, those are games that we call friend slop, and those are like amazing games that pretty much anybody could play because of how much they appeal to other people and how interactive they are. Yeah, you may need friends to play because it's the most ideal condition to play the game, but it's a fun game regardless. Like, you know.
And you know what? You hit on something right there. Is you need friends to play it, and so they call it friend slop. It's that eternal thing of I hate it because I can't do it. You know,
Right.
I hate it because I don't know how to get into it. I remember old Eddie Murphy joke. He was talking about a dance, and he was like, you know, the brother be doing some stupid dance like this, and he goes, "Yeah, it's stupid because I can't do it, so that's why I think it's stupid." You know, but yeah, like when you call it slop, just say you don't have no friends, you know, or just be quiet.
Right.
You don't have to put all this negativity into the world.
Right.
You can just,
you don't have to say that you don't like so and so if you can keep that opinion to yourself as well.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
One of the things I learned as a kid, and I don't remember what precipitated, but what helped me a lot was when I learned that because I don't like something doesn't mean it's bad, doesn't mean it sucks.
Right.
It just
Yeah,
means it's
exactly.
not for me.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that was a mindset change. So I try not to, you know, and being a creator myself too, I hate, you know, hearing people, you know, you don't want to try to put other creators down.
Yeah.
I know how much
exactly.
work goes into all this stuff. So I've tried to look at it that way. It's not that I hate something. It's just, it's not for me. Or
Right.
I just, it doesn't touch me. It's not something I'm excited about. Doesn't mean it's bad.
Right.
Just not for me.
Right. And it seems like there's a propensity for people, if they don't like it or don't understand it, to just, you know, down talk it or talk down about it. And like, you know, I've seen people put up like, a great example was the Ghostbusters movie with the women Ghostbusters.
Yes.
And everybody's like, oh, this is trash, you know, woke agenda. We didn't need women, blah, blah, blah. The movie is terrible. And then you discover that they never saw the movie.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just,
Like, like what?
Yeah. The whole thing with the review bombing things.
of the Marvels.
Yeah, like they go in, guys who have never seen it go in and are bad mouthing it and giving it 1-star reviews, but they're just doing it from the privacy of their home.
Yeah, they don't even
And
know that if they like it or not. They just don't even give it a chance.
And what it is, it's like, oh, I know I'm not going to like this, so nobody else can like it either.
Right. What is
And
that?
and that's a lot of effort to put into something you don't like.
We
Yeah.
just kind of saw this with, since we were talking about Star Trek so much on some of these things, Starfleet Academy.
Yeah.
Even though will have a season 2, it got canceled at the end of season 1 because it's too woke. I guess Klingons can't be gay and wear a dress, and non-binary characters can't exist, and you know, nobody can stand a Star Trek season without a lead male straight white protagonist for some reason. It was too diverse and too woke and too critical race theory, and now we can't have something that I was enjoying.
And that's not even what critical race theory is. But Julie, you were going to say something.
Oh, I just wanted to know who all these people's moms were, because my mom taught me if you didn't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. And that's what I
Exactly.
taught my children. So these
Exactly.
moms have failed these people.
Exactly.
There's
I mean,
a lot
that-
of parent fails.
My mom is the exact same way. If she's like, if you don't have anything good to say about it, hush it. You know.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
the same way.
Well, but again,
So-
why would you want to waste that much effort
Yeah.
on something that obviously you don't care for?
Yeah, I
Great.
don't know.
If there's a show I don't like, I just don't look at it. I don't think about it. I don't, you know, I move on.
Right.
But you know, why, you know, our lives are such finite, you know, there's not enough hours in the day to do what I need to do. I don't have time to sit and focus on stuff I don't like.
Right.
I've had quite a few experiences working in the music industry, and most of my bread and butter as an audio engineer, I work in hip hop and R&B, and a lot of people that find out about that in some of the circles that I'm in have actually expressed their opinion about like how much rap sucks and the R&B sucks and all this other stuff, and I'm like, you know, it's so wonderful that you felt so comfortable to share your opinion when I never asked for it.
Yeah. Thank you for telling me how much my job sucks. And how,
Yeah.
you know,
I
how much
mean,
just, you know, yeah.
when was the last time you listened to a hip hop and R&B record?
Yeah. It's, yeah.
Right.
You know,
And the answer is
yes,
never.
thank you. Yes, thank you for telling me I was wrong to love this thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks a lot, Sam. I am.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna switch gears a little bit because I'm looking at the time, and I want to make sure I respect y'all's time. But we do want to have some fun over here. So two questions. One, I'm going to ask you is what is your favorite Black fictional character? And we'll start with anybody want to start? Give everybody else time to think.
I'll start.
Go ahead, Julie.
Because I've been thinking about it since you told me earlier. I actually have two. I hope. Does Panthro count from
Yes.
Thundercats?
Yes, he does.
Panthro's
Yes.
awesome.
So Panthro is my number one, and my second one, of course, is Black Panther. We got to go with a whole cat theme there.
You know what? I love that you said that so much because, like, so many people in the Black community, when we talk about Black characters, we're like Panthro and Piccolo.
Yeah.
We claim both.
Yeah. Well, I also have an ex-boyfriend that used to do the body paint stuff, and he did Panther one time, and he's Black, so I assumed.
Yeah, and that was a correct assumption. He belongs to the Black Pantheon.
Yeah,
Yes.
we will do a whole podcast episode about Black coded characters in media, so please stay tuned for that. That will be coming out later in the summer.
Yeah.
What about the rest of y'all, Ryan?
I was gonna ask, does Shadow the Hedgehog count?
Yeah, he's voiced by Jaleel White. I've always
Yeah.
thought Sonic was Black, to be honest.
That's true.
And
I thought
Shadow
so
in the
too,
movie was Knuckles was Idris Elba, wasn't he?
Yeah, in the movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we claim Knuckles and we claim
Sonic.
Gargoyles, the lead
Oh
gargoyle.
yes.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Goliath.
Goliath. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes,
Keith David. Yes.
David,
Man.
love him.
Yes.
Love Keith David.
Yes. One of my favorite actors. Fantastic.
He's within my top few actors. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay if I have a three-way tie on my favorite characters?
Sure.
All right, so my three-way tie is Jon Stewart, Green Lantern, Static, and Black Lightning.
Nice.
So we're talking cartoon Black Lightning or live action Black Lightning?
Both, because I thought
They were both cool.
both were excellent.
Excuse me, Mr. GeekDunnryte. You mean to tell me there's not a single Power Ranger in that three-way tie? Not a single one.
Maybe maybe that was number 4.
That's not fictional.
Yeah.
It is. I think Karen actually might have something to say about that.
Yeah.
All right.
Power Rangers is real.
Yeah.
Okay.
I a big time comic book fan. Been reading comics for decades. Two of my long-standing favorite comic characters who have translated to the movies and TV was Sam Wilson as the Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
I love those him in the comics, and I also love him in the movies. You know, fantastic. And Monica Rambeau, who was Captain Marvel in the comics. That was where I was introduced to her, and I thought she was a fantastic character. So I geeked out when she appeared, you know, in WandaVision and then the Marvels. It was really great seeing her. And so those are two characters that, as a kid, if you'd have told me they would one day be in movies, I would have never believed it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were big favorites of mine. I will echo Jon Stewart, but I liked him in the comics, but it was Justice League, the cartoon, with Phil Lamar voicing him.
Yes.
That really
League
cemented.
Unlimited.
Yes, that cemented Jon Stewart as
Yes.
like my Green Lantern.
Agreed.
So
Yes.
fun story. Funny story. I thought Jon Stewart Green Lantern was like the original OG Green Lantern from the comics and stuff. Growing up, boy, was my bubble burst when I found about Hal Jordan and Alan Scott and all the other Green Lanterns and
Yeah,
the
I think even Guy Gardner came before Jon Stewart. in the
Yes.
comics.
Yeah, Guy Gardner did.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but Justice League Unlimited really cemented that character for me. A lot of the voice actors in those cartoons did, because those are the voices I hear when I read. I can't read Batman without hearing Kevin Conroy.
Absolutely.
The work on those cartoons cemented like those voices in my head forever.
Ryan, did we get a chance to get your characters?
Yeah, we did. I said
Okay.
Shadow the Hedgehog. Yeah,
We
that's what.
did. Okay. So I'm going to give you my favorite Black characters, even though the question wasn't for me, but I want to stir up some controversy. So
Sure.
I would say my favorite Black fictional characters, Black Panther for sure, because he's right here in my heart forever and ever.
Yep.
Storm, because I didn't read comics growing up, but when the '97 X-Men came out, oh my God, Storm forever. And my third and last one, Kirk Lazarus, which is the character that Robert Downey Jr. played in Tropic Thunder.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Every
Excellent.
time I see that, I crack up laughing. I can quote him. Me and my friends, I will call my friend, because I know she works out in the morning, and I'll say, "You most shredded up than a julienne salad, man. What's your secret? You got any tips? Give me that goddamn map." Every day. I do that to her like every day for like 6 months. And I love what he did with that character, and I love what it meant, because a lot of people were like, well, you can't do blackface. If you don't understand that wasn't what the point was, then you miss it. It was making fun of all the people that get all the characters that get whitewashed in Hollywood, and the way he did it. And I have to say, about halfway through that movie, I forgot that was Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
It was just a weird Black dude.
I'm a dude playing.
He went full method.
He went full
method.
He says it in the movie. He's like, I don't break character until we finish rapping on the DVD commentary. If you watch the DVD commentary, he does that voice the entire time.
The entire time?
Yes.
Wow.
It is awesome. Yeah. So yeah,
That was a good one.
He would be my pick. Okay. So the other question, and it's kind of like piggybacking off of that, from expanding beyond just the characters to like the media, is there any media, books, movies, comics, et cetera, that are, it doesn't even necessarily have to be like all Black, but maybe like predominantly Black or Black run or Black writers, like Ryan Coogler type thing, like any of your, and I'm not even going to narrow it down to like your favorites, like maybe some stuff that you respect,
Well, going back to Justice League, the cartoon, Dwayne McDuffie.
Good.
Dwayne McDuffie was an absolutely fantastic writer. And I got to meet him once. He was also a super cool guy. Cool. That was wonderful. Marc touched on it a bit earlier. I how big a deal it was for Benjamin Sisko to headline a Star Trek show. Just as much as when a few years after that, with Kate Mulgrew running, being the lead on Voyager. Those were, I remember those were big deals especially at the time. It's, oh my God, it's not an old white guy, but it was this your first here, your first that, so I think those were two of the ones that really were for me, but also because I was not as much of a fan. I was kind of a fan of the character in the comics, but they made this character in the comics. Blade was very stereotypical.
Yeah.
Then we got those movies.
Oh God. Yes.
And Wesley Snipes and the directors of those movies made Blade a formidable and a cool character. And in many cases, that was the first comic to movie adaptation a lot of people had ever seen.
A lot of folks credit that with revitalizing the superhero movie and saving Marvel, from the dustbin of time, because it proved that the technology had caught up and a superhero movie could work.
Right. And they weren't being silly. They were playing it straight and playing it, as just telling a story. Because because before that and Batman, before those, the 89 Batman, comics were kind of tongue-in-cheek comic to it. Movie adaptations were very, it's a comic, it's
right, and it should be for kids, because Blade was gritty and dark.
Oh yeah. And so I think so for me, those were three very big formative ones for me.
Okay.
Oh man, for me there's just so many. Like I one show in particular that I do want to mention. I might be in the minority for this, but I loved the show Mantis.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
Cora
that
Lumley.
show was really good. That was I watched that avidly. And then of course I loved In Living Color. I loved
Yes.
Living Single,
Yes.
Martin.
Oh,
I love Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Keenan and Kel, like all of that. That was like so like pivotal to my TV watching growing up. Just iconic actors, iconic characters, things that really kind of shaped a lot of my worldview in a lot of ways.
you
I
know,
was
it's
literally gonna
interesting.
ask Friends or Living Single. I'm so happy you said that.
Right.
I
Right.
love that show. I hate Friends, but I love Living Single.
Best theme song too, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Y'all could be taking my white
in your
people
head.
card away.
I could still sing that whole thing. Even and my knees are bad now, but I used to do the whole choreography that Big Les does at the beginning of Living Single.
Oh, yes.
That like
I-
jump and kick to the side. I can't do that now.
I would also throw in Malcolm and Eddie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I remember
amazing.
that show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all this, and so that also speaks to when we talk about y'all being like in Black folks' business. There's a lot of people that I didn't understand until I got older, didn't watch those shows, so they don't get the references and they don't get the inside jokes, and then they feel like an outsider. Then they get angry because they're not included. But hey, it was your prerogative not to watch Living Single and Martin, and
Right.
I think the only thing that people universally watched was the Cosby Show. You know,
Yeah.
but the rest of them are niche.
And that has one of those things you talked about earlier. Yes, in the 80s, everybody watched the Cosby Show. Now it means a whole different thing now.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And certainly that's not the only example. I mean, we've had a lot of people who were beloved icons of our entertainment who have turned out to
Total piece of
be
trash.
not what we needed.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
But it did give birth to a different world, which was like
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
I loved more than the Cosby Show.
Which was the reason I went to Spelman College, because it was filmed on Spelman's campus.
Yep.
And they're doing a new version. I don't know if you guys have heard that.
Yes.
They're rebooting it for Netflix, right?
Yeah, they're actually filming it here.
Yeah,
Are they?
they
wow.
got Hilltop University on their campus now. I've seen videos about it.
Yep.
I need to just walk
Nice.
up there and see if I can just walk on and just be in the background.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
So wait, Julie and Ryan, I don't think we made it to that side of the screen yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you want to go first, Ryan? Go ahead.
Sure. I will say that. I mean, there's one that comes to mind, and that's it's the new one that came out that has a character that I like, that my dad actually has been enjoying watching, and that's the live action One Piece.
Oh yes.
That's one I can think of. And there's other shows as well where like it has characters of that kind of like, or like set of characters, like Rango. Rango's a movie growing up that I absolutely loved. What else? I like so many different things growing up. It's kind of hard to think of like what shows kind of.
I got you.
Yeah.
Like all of them. I liked all of them. Yeah.
All right. So if we're going to talk about shows of our youth and whatnot, I'm going to take it way on back. And I'm hoping some of y'all remember What's Happening.
Yes.
Yes.
What's Happening? My two first crushes were Dwayne from What's Happening and Todd Bridges from Different Strokes.
Okay.
So
Good
I
time.
loved those shows when I was a kid. Those were my favorites.
Yes.
So
You know what? Me and my friends will randomly say like no Roger, no rerun, no rent.
yes,
On this one episode. It's just
we
in
did
my
the Raj
mind.
dance.
Mhm.
Oh, speaking of Roger, that reminds me of Sister.
Oh yeah.
Go home, Roger.
And
Oh, Roger.
Some of these shows were on Fox back in the day. When you talk about how things have changed over time, Fox.
Yes.
And it's not uncommon when we talk about cultural. That's not even appropriate. Exploitation is like they used the popularity of these Black shows to make a name for themselves as a network, and then when they got big, they just kicked everybody off. We moved on, and now you see with the Fox News that we have now started off as the same Fox that used to show Living Single.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Fox was good for that because when they were new, they were good for taking risk and trying new things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember WB kind of did that at the beginning,
Mhm.
and they kind of, and then Showtime, when Showtime started doing, I
Mhm.
remember Tim Reed and Pam Grier were on a sitcom that was set in a bar. Links.
I know.
It's called Links.
Was it Links or Frank's
I-
Place?
Frank's
Place.
Place. I think it was
Was it Frank's Place? Okay, it's Frank's Place.
Yeah.
Frank's
But
Place,
yeah, I remember loving that, and but it was the kind of thing that they were doing more of that, and you weren't getting that on NBC and
Right.
CBS, and but it's these are actors that I loved. I love these actors and other things, and it was great, following them, and with so many shows I follow. Idris Elba does a show, I will probably watch it because I think he is an amazing actor.
Yeah.
And so you can follow actors, and I think, like you said, we were talking the early days of Fox was great for introducing a lot of us to actors we might never have known.
Never seen. Yeah.
And don't forget about UPN. UPN back in the day was a channel that was made to create Black content to build an audience, to then switch it to more general audience, what it is now with the CW and I guess now CBS. But that's a conversation for a whole nother day.
There's very, very little original content on the CW. It's mostly game shows and reality shows, and
that was once they got bought out by another company.
Yeah.
And nowadays, the edgy content or the people that take the risk the most is Netflix.
Yeah.
They'll give anything at least one season. Now they also are the ones that'll cut you off right when you were getting into something. Because I'm still mad about Cowboy Bebop.
But I think too, much like the days when we started getting more than just 3 networks.
Yeah.
I wish more streaming would take more chances. There's so much content and so much room. I don't know if you guys have been watching this. There's a great show with Sterling K. Brown called Paradise.
Oh no,
that's weird because I was just thinking about Paradise and I didn't say it.
Yeah,
so
that is
Sterling Brown.
That show has blown my mind both seasons because it starts as one thing, but he is absolutely, and this is the first show he's been the lead in, and he really carries it very well.
He really does such a good job. But yeah, and I got goosebumps because like if you watch Paradise, they talk. There's this issue of quantum entanglement, if you will, and so for me to be thinking Paradise and for you to just say it, I was like, ooh. It's just like they said.
We'll blame Alex.
We'll blame Alex, and now y'all have to watch the show to understand what that's about. Yeah.
But I like that. But with streaming, I think we get more opportunities for shows like that would never have NBC or CBS never would have greenlit.
Right, because it's not tied to ad revenue on streaming services.
And they go in going, we're only doing 3 seasons. When this show's done, it'll only be 30 episodes. They can go in and do that. And I think we're getting more opportunities for filmmakers and creators to try different things. And they're not, whereas if you go and pitch something to ABC, they're wanting something that's going to run for 10 years.
Yeah. Because
Mm-hmm.
how long is much as I love Shonda Rhimes, and Shondaland is another like media thing. She does everything, and I love Bridgerton, but Grey's Anatomy been on a little long.
20 years?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and but it's amazing how many shows have survived, because when we were kids, a show didn't run that long, except Gunsmoke. I think Gunsmoke ran 20 years. But the Law and Orders are over 20 years.
Oh my God.
NCIS is over 20 years.
The Simpsons.
Grey's Anatomy, The Simpsons. So it's amazing the longevity that certain shows have. And then somebody in the comments said 25 seasons.
25 seasons of counting. Oh my goodness.
There are people old enough to drink that have never lived in a world without Grey's Anatomy or Law and Order SVU,
Law and Order. Like if you're 25, it's been on your whole life.
Your whole life,
Yeah. My oldest son is 25, so yes, that would be true.
It's one of those things that's just so weird to think about. It's like, how many, I have younger relatives. It's like, you've never lived in a world without cell phones.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, it's such a, because to me, it doesn't seem like they've been around that long.
Right.
Because
Like,
I certainly remember times without them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's really weird that it's the work, not how many people have never lived without a computer in their home.
Mm-hmm. When I remember getting my first Commodore, getting my only Commodore 64,
I had
my big box.
Right.
Mine was a Tandy 1000 SX.
Nice. And we had this unplayable Ghostbusters game on floppy disk.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Oh, back when they were real floppy disks.
Yeah,
the 5 1/4.
And then or the you got to get on the. You want to get on the.
Oh, you're bigger than that, dude.
That's the second iteration. The first one was like plastic.
Like this,
yeah. It was like actually floppy and 5 1/4 inches big.
This is a coaster, by the way.
Yeah, and then, God, if you needed to get on the internet, you had to like get the phone. And
and I would get so mad when my mom would pick up the phone when I was in the middle of surfing the net, doing some homework.
And I can't tell you how many STDs I gave my computer trying to get one song off of Napster.
oh my God!
The days of LimeWire and Napster.
Yeah, a new song came out or a movie trailer.
Right.
You spend 3 hours downloading a 60-second movie trailer.
Yes. Those were the good old days,
now.
Right?
Oh my God.
We have to do a whole other episode of Do You Remember?
Right?
It's just,
remember when?
Because this was, even doing what we're doing right now, in the 70s and 80s, this was science fiction.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So if you remember Total Recall, they did basically FaceTime. It was Sharon Stone and Michael Ironside, and they were a couple, and he was calling her to do something, and she blew him a kiss and everything. And they did a video call, and that was super futuristic. And now every 8-year-old can FaceTime.
Or like, like even before my time, my dad's, when he was a kid, Dick Tracy had the watch with the computer screen on it that could talk. And now we have Apple Watches that people get.
And communicators. This is basically a cell phone.
Yes.
Star Trek The Next Generation, Geordi would be walking around with the pads and engineering. We've got tablets now, and
still waiting on that hoverboard though.
I'm waiting on the lightsabers.
Yeah, me too.
Kidding. I want transporters. It'll make my going to cons so much easier.
No transporters. I will not kill myself to go someplace. I'm sorry. No transporters.
If they get it right, as long as there's no flies in there, you should.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, no, I'm thinking Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. I love him. I adore Jeff Goldblum. I got a question for you. You reserve the. I reserve the right. I give you the right to not answer if you don't want to. Who is your brown skin crush? Julie.
Oh, I knew this one before we started. Mine is Mike Coulter, who is Luke Cage. And I met him at DragonCon one year. And he is so nice. And he didn't make me pay for anything to get his signature. And they gave me a hug. And his parents live around the corner from my parents.
Love it.
So we figured that out. So yeah, that's mine. Is definitely Mike Coulter.
Right. So if your parents live around the corner from you, in another universe, y'all could totally be dating.
I know, right? Well, his real wife is a redheaded white woman.
Oh, you were right there, man.
So close.
So close.
Vivica A. Fox.
Hell yeah. That one, she's fine.
I had the biggest crush on Gabrielle Union when I was younger.
Oh yes. Bring it on. Bring it on.
That was where it started. Yes. Yes. I had the biggest crush on her.
I'll give you that. Ryan.
If we're allowing fictional characters, Garnet from Steven Universe.
Oh yeah, from Steven Universe. Yeah.
That would be a crush I could think of that I kind of liked.
Thick thighs save lives, Ryan.
So there was something that we kind of started talking about that I wanted to get a little bit more into, because for like me and Joel, we may not have this let me just phrase it like this. For me and Joy growing up, there's this phrase in our community that we hear all the time, other Black people hear it, and that's white people shit. And hearing that, what people are referring to, like listening to rock music, nerdy things that within the Black community we would deem as stuff only white people do, like skydiving, bungee jumping, etc., etc. With that said, I wonder, and you don't have to answer this, and I'm not taking this in any derogatory way, just something that I grew up hearing. I wonder, is this something that happens in white communities where your parents or family says, no, this is something that Black people do, or this is something that other cultures do that you're not meant to do?
Mm-hmm. This would be interesting because I've actually never considered that question, Mark.
Yeah, I never thought of that too.
Yeah, I don't recall, but
Not
So-
that I know of.
I'm sure if I thought, I don't
Chris.
I'll give y'all an example. There's something that happened to me.
24-hour pass, Chris, to say whatever you want.
I know Chris got some stories.
Oh, Mark, I'm wondering if you're bringing this up because of a particular story I told you.
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you why I bring it up. So I was 13 years old, and come home from middle school, high school, whatever at the time. TRL was very popular. TRL on MTV.
Mm-hmm.
TRL, they play music videos, mostly pop culture stuff, from the white side of the music industry, mainly. And,
It was very Duran, yeah.
Right. And I was watching, I think it was a POD video, POD, Playground Destruction. They're a Christian rock band, by the way, mainstream Christian rock band. Their song Alive. And my family, my uncle, my cousins, they all come in. What are you sitting here listening to this white people shit and blah, 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 blah. And I had to make up an excuse like, oh, I'm just watching TRL and Snoop Dogg was being interviewed. And in the middle of the interview, they played the video because it's MTV. They sometimes play music videos. So I had to explain myself. And then eventually I was like, but wait a minute, why did I have to explain myself? Black people created the genre of rock music in the first place. Why is it an issue that I like something that doesn't have Black people in it? So I wonder, is there an inverse to that any of you have experienced?
I don't remember anybody telling it, but I've heard a lot of times people go, well, this is black music.
Yeah.
Why are you listening to this? It's not. It was not made for you.
Yeah.
I have heard that, and when you just said that's Black people music, I remembered exactly what happened to me. I was in one of our lovely establishments out in Conyers or Covington bars, and a friend of mine was a DJ, and my favorite dance song ever is "It Takes Two" by DJ Rob Bass. Anyways, well, the DJ played it, and this redneck man leaned over across to me to tell me why was I requesting such inappropriate word music. So I have heard that.
How was that?
And
so
I was
inappropriate?
shocked because this was like maybe
Inappropriate is
10
not
years
the word
ago.
he used.
What?
Inappropriate was not the word.
Yeah.
Okay.
She did parentheses, inappropriate word.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
And
So I was at a dinner in Utah, and
there you go.
it was filled with a lot of people that looked like me, and one of my friends that I was there with was putting me on the hook for like trying to sing for them for some reason. It was something like in the conversation or something. And it was around Christmas time, and it was a Christmas song that I sang in a soulful way. Well, then there was this woman who happened to be blonde. She looks at me and she goes, "Did you grow up around a lot of Black people?" And everybody around her was like, "What?" And I was even like shocked. And she's like, "Come on, he's got soul. White people don't have soul."
that is so true. She clocked it though. She clocked you. And but going back to like we y'all talked about like being welcomed or feeling like you could hang and belong. Y'all ostensibly at the cookout, right, kind of thing. Every video I've seen where there's someone that appreciates whatever aspect of the culture they're participating in, like there's a couple of I want to say either Filipino or Vietnamese. I'm not sure what he is, but he does like a bunch of West Coast like hip hop dancing, and it's all staged, but he'll jump into something and be dancing with. I remember there was an Asian guy on a cruise ship, and like black people all out there dancing around the cruise ship, and he just jumps in with like his little. He had one move that he just did over and over again, but everybody's like, ah! We're like, let's go! We get excited when y'all come in and want to play with us, and that's always a good time, always fun, because like you said, we're always very welcoming. I've seen the inverse of it. Like there was I want to say there was an Arab wedding, and they were in the street. I don't know why they were in the street. And the guy was like recording, and then he panned over, and like 2 houses over, it was like this black guy. He just over there like, that looks like fun. And he's not with them, but he's vibing with them, you know. And it's the vibe. Y'all all passed the vibe check, you know. You vibe with us again, and none of you is going to go and say, "I invented this soulful song that I stole from this, you know, cookout or whatever." And that's always like the litmus test. Like, can you vibe with us without trying to monetize, without trying to take credit for, and just be with us, you know? And like I said, y'all all pass the vibe check. If I ever have a cookout at my house, because I cannot speak for other black people, because some people have a chip on their shoulder about that phrase. But if I ever cook food at my house in Atlanta, y'all are welcome to come by.
Oh, hooray!
Yeah.
Here's
the thing, though. I'm a really good cook, so
Nice.
that's not for nothing. Yeah, the catfish is on point. Yeah.
There's a skit on SNL called Black Jeopardy, and I was
Yes.
watching it recently where they had Tom Hanks on.
Yes.
Yeah, every time I talk to Mr. Dunnryte and we just have our like Monday weekly friendship conversations, I feel like Kenan Thompson in that skit with Tom Hanks, and he was like, "Oh man, I can't believe you with it. You a cool dude." So every time I talk to Chris, I have that moment in my head.
If more people could watch that episode, I feel like we could solve a lot of problems, because
Yeah.
it is exactly what we talk about. Like once you get past the rhetoric and the tribalism, we have a whole lot in common, you know?
Yeah.
And y'all are living proof of that, man.
At the end of the day, we're all people.
We're all
Right.
people.
We're all people.
Mhm.
We all, we all live on the same planet. We
Right.
breathe the same air. It's
We've all found something that we have in common in like our love for like nerdy stuff, and we celebrate it together. We celebrate each other, right?
yeah.
I
think
love the
it's-
celebrations too. I absolutely love the celebrations, the vibe, the energy. I mean, I want to give a shout out to my friends over at Blerd and when they came in to Ranger Stop and Pop, and they had their table set up with the music and everything. It was such a vibe. That was like the best time. We had dance parties and everything. There was just so much freedom and love, and just like this uniting moment of us just celebrating.
Freedom
I
and
love
love.
that.
Yeah, I love that.
It's kind of contagious when you're with people who are loving this thing, that whatever it is, that you're into. Yeah, well, one, that gives you your, that's the common thing that it introduces you together, and it's kind of contagious. Your love for this. I mean, we see it, you guys, we all do conventions. You see it where people are like, even if they've never met, or at one table and they're geeking out over the same thing. I've seen it. I have experienced it. I have made lifelong friends out of geeking out over something with a stranger at a con.
Yeah.
I saw
And that was the bond.
I saw it was at MomoCon. I'm sorry, that was the bond. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was the bond that started the friendship, was this thing we geeked out. We walked up to a table as strangers, and you walked away without it. I mean, it's wonderful. It's and I've met a lot of people like that. Well, that's how Marc and I met, was at a con.
Yeah.
So,
And like you talk about, like just like again that vibe and that energy that you feel when you're all into the same thing. I don't know who brought the poster board, but at MomoCon last year there was a guy walking around, and it was like rate your anime. And it was like little Velcro things. You had to move the title.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
the energy around that, like security actually came over, like, is everything okay over here? Because people were like yelling and screaming, but there was no fighting. It was just heated debate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, no way this goes there. No, you got to bring that up. And it was a huge crowd. Everybody that got off the elevator walked over to see what was going on, and then had an opinion about where they wanted to put stuff. And it was great. And I was like, I really hope that I hope that guy brings it to like a Dragon Con or something else, because I thought it was such a great idea to just, you don't have to know everything about everything. You just have to have an opinion, and it's just as valid as everybody else's. Yeah.
And Mark and I bonded over our affinity for people wearing brightly colored spandex fighting rubber monsters.
Yes. Yep. Did you know the first time we both went to RSP, I think it was the same year, people were confusing us. I was like, how? How are you confusing me with somebody? Then I saw you and I was like, okay, I get this one. I completely understand this one right here.
Hilarious.
But speaking of RSP and MomoCon, I love that those are unofficial Black cons, that we just Black people took over those two conventions and like it's ours now. So like every time you go to MomoCon, it's like some of the most blackest Black nerd stuff you see. And same thing at RSP with Blerd over. Like I saw Walter Jones like going over there and dancing when they was cracking the fans and stuff. Those are some of my favorite conventions, just because we just took it over because it's in Atlanta.
Can I talk to that a little bit?
Yes,
because I've been doing this will be my 10th year. Yay, volunteering at MomoCon. I've really been doing it since 2014, but there was a pandemic and I missed 1 year. But anyways, I have greatly noticed just from the media outlets we get, because I started in media relations. I've always been in that department, and the amount of diversity and outlets that we've been getting since I started is amazing. I mean, that's obviously how I met you, Mark. I mean, that's how a lot we've been getting. And I always thought it was funny because until then, the only time I ever heard the word Blerd was on the show Scrubs.
Yeah.
Because that's what they used to call the guy on Scrubs, was a Blerd. And I used to call my cousin married a Black man, and I called him a Blerd because he was a big nerd, but I picked it up from Scrubs. But I had never heard it used in media until I started working at MomoCon. So I think it's really neat how much it has become such a diverse con, whereas before it wasn't as much. So
yeah, and one of my best friends, he and I were talking the other day. So one of my best friends besides Mark, he and I were talking the other day about how how amazing it feels for him to be able to be open about his blerdiness, as he said. How there was a period of time where he couldn't mention that he was into like Dragon Ball Z or into like Voltron or Thundercats or anything like that. He couldn't mention it because it just wasn't accepted within his community and things. But now he is able to be open and honest and just share in the nerdiness of it all, and that we're able to bond together in these shared interests. But for him, it's just such a relief, and that sense of freedom has brought him so much joy. So I love seeing things like BlerdCon. I love seeing more of this acceptance within that community of being able to just enjoy what you enjoy.
Enjoy what you enjoy. Yeah, I love that. So we probably need to wrap it up. So I want to give everyone a chance, because I want our audience, who's largely Blerds, I want them to know where their people at. So tell everybody where they can find you on social media, etc. And also, if you got anything coming up that you want them to come and support, please share that as well. And Ryan, we'll start with you.
I have a YouTube channel, which is GrayEyes. If you look it up on YouTube, if you type in just GrayEyes at first, you won't be able to find it quickly because it just pops up videos of literal gray eyes, which I find very funny. But just maybe type in the word GrayEyes MomoCon, you'll find the channel. And on that channel, you can find all my social medias. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, and I even use a Flickr page where for the photo shoots I host, cosplay photo shoots, I have all the pictures I've taken on there as well. So if you want to check out some of my stuff, I'll be on YouTube and some other platforms as well.
Okay. Bobby.
You can find me at bobbynash.com. That's my website. It's got all my links and stuff. But I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Threads and Blue Sky and yeah, I'm all over the place. There's links there. I do a lot of cons. The next one I have coming up, I'll be at Stellar Fest, which is the 24th, 25th, and 26th of this month, and that is in Duluth at the Sonesta Hotel. It's a big site. It's a sci-fi con, so it's not a big. It's a small local sci-fi con. It's their second year. Last year was great fun, so we're doing that. Not a con, but this coming Saturday, the 18th, I'm teaching a class at the Auburn, Georgia Library on how to create comics.
Ooh.
And then, of course, May we have Free Comic Book Day on the 2nd. I'll be in Tucker at Infinite Realities, and then on the 3rd, the Atlanta Comic Convention, the one-day show, and at the Century Center in Atlanta. So yeah, lots of local events I'll be at.
Okay. Julie?
Well, I'm not really on social media a whole lot. I do have an Instagram. It's Julie Louise Byrd, and that's Byrd with a Y. And you can, however, find me at MomoCon in the Media Relations press room, because that's where I usually am. Or you could find me. I might escape some with my son Carter, but probably I'll be up there.
Okay. And Chris?
So you can find me at DunnRite. You see it on the screen right here. That is for Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, where social media stuff. And the next con I'll be at is actually going to be Ranger Stop and Pop. We've mentioned it a few times tonight. And I'll also be at MomoCon doing press. So I'll be eating a lot of the snacks that Julie puts out. And just hoping to see everybody there and have awesome discussions.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for spending some time with us, cousins, and look forward to seeing you all at the various cons and different things throughout the rest of the year. And I'll turn it back over to you, Marc, to close us out.
All right. Thank you all so much for coming on the show. This was a very, very interesting conversation. I have other discussions that will come out of this in the future, but I want to just give a special thanks to Miss Julie Byrd. Without you, MomoCon Press, without Dana Morgan, MomoCon Press would not be the same. Y'all spoil us so much, Ryan. You're in for a treat this year at MomoCon doing press. Julie's like our mother. She makes sure we eat. She makes sure we get some rest. She will help us with questions. Tell us to go interview people. She'll even jump in on the camera herself. So MomoCon is amazing. And Mr. GeekDunnryte, sir, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. Longtime friend Bobby Nash. Ryan, thank y'all so much. But next week, it's a holiday. We're doing our 420 special digital high edition of Blerdkast Live. Unfortunately, it will be a members only show, so you have to be a member of the Blerd Nation to watch and participate in that show because of what we're talking about. But it's going to be a good one. We're going to talk about a lot of fun, nerdy things that involve 420. But until then,
just so you know, I have some really good stories, and you really want to go ahead and be a member so you can hear these stories because they are worth hearing.
Hit that join button below, please. It's only going to be on Blerdography, not on Moana Nui. So please, if you want to watch it, become a member, and $2. You get to see an amazing show. It's going to be fun. But until then, I have a Dream Deferred Part 2 coming up at the end of the month, and then the month of May is going to be fun. We got MomoCon, we got RSP, we have FurryCon, we have DreamHack.
We got one late question coming in. It says any indie comics that you guys are looking, checking for or interested in.
I got one I like to say. If anybody is having some of the comics for My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, the miniseries, that is like a series of comics that ran from I believe 2011 to 2015, I believe. If you have any of the comics for that miniseries, I would love to know about them and where I can get those as well.
Okay. And I want to add a little publicity to a friend of the show, but also indie comic writer there's matter of fact, rather than go through all that, look up the seventh, and it's 7th, the Seventh Kingdom on
Oh yeah,
Instagram.
RJ.
Yeah, RJ Atkinson has written a Black female writer, and she has written a manga, and it's not just a comic book; it is manga.
She is fantastic.
Most literal sense of it. Yeah, and it is amazing. So from an indie standpoint, check her out.
Yeah.
Right.
She's great. Also, check out the work of Robert Jeffrey or Milton Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Both of those are both Atlanta guys who are fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And Hotep, he's got Black Lion and Cubs coming out. He's actually got his own app, which I forget the name of at the moment. Don't tell him. I forgot the name of it.
Education Station.
Thank you, Education Station. And you know what? If you haven't gotten into Bitterroot.
Yeah, Sanford's also fantastic. Yes, Sanford is. Yeah.
There's so many others. David Crownson in the Harriet Tubman series, Marcus Williams and the Tuskegee Heirs, Greg Burnham, Hilly
Love
Burnham.
that.
They have a con coming out in Atlanta later this year. That's going to be fun. We're going to talk about that. There's so many talented writers and artists out there in the indie comic scene. Trust me, check out my page. I have a ton of interviews with them already and a ton more coming out. Also, before we leave, special member shout out to Lavender Buddy. It's her birthday today.
Yay! Happy
birthday! Mention that if she's watching, Lavender Bunny, happy birthday. But until then, I'll see y'all next week. Peace.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Be somebody tonight, yeah. I love it how you move it, how you wind it up. We can jump into it, we can line it up. We can stay slow with you, me. We can stay slow with you, me. Yeah. Be somebody tonight, doing that dance, digging that dance. I know you can be somebody tonight. Be somebody tonight. Pull up on me. We've got so much to see. Maybe I can show you now. Tear your top with the top down.